Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your game, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with the weirdos, Brian and Robbie, who are both experiencing some crazy rain, it sounds like.
Yeah, I have some pretty tough weather going on over here, and I have two dogs that are going insane, so I hope I can last the whole podcast. We shall see how this plays out. That is what she said.
Good one, Brian. Good one. Brian, what's up, dude? Have you been on with Rob and I alone before?
Nope. Hopefully never again, too. What?
Unsupervised. What?
Unsupervised. Yeah, Cody's not here to keep us on in time.
Yeah, you've probably been like not wanting to be here at all because Cody's not here.
Yeah, I mean,
what's Cody doing?
I don't know if we can say.
Okay, we won't ask then.
He's becoming a public figure. Okay.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Hey, would you guys go Joe Burrow or Trey Lance with the 106th pick?
Trey Lance.
Wow. All right. Sorry, Joe. Sorry, Smoking Joe.
It honestly depends if you're going for safe or not. I mean,
I'm going for wild.
Then go wild.
Trey Lance.
I could get Derek Carr for safety later, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Swing for the fences, baby.
Swing for the fences. I'm gonna swoop in Cole Kmet here right after on the turn because I was 10th overall, so this is my turn. Come back with Cole Kmet love. Pretty excited about that.
I'm not.
Brian, we had a draft this weekend.
We did.
How'd you think it went?
I think it went great. We got Kadarius Toney in the 14th.
13th.
We got Ayuk in the 9th. Herbert in the 6th.
Herbert in the 6th is wild. End of
That's
Pitts
crazy.
At the end of the 4th.
Another wild one.
We got a lot of steals. We
did.
went all value. Our RB2 is Ramondre Stevenson, but I mean, we got like 9 lottery tickets on our bench. So
knowing us, I mean, it's half point PPR. We'll end up, finishing 6 and 7, 7 and 6 in this league.
Yep, probably.
But last year we made it to the finals. We both
at 7 and 6.
At 7 and 6, we both forgot that till we were there.
Yeah, and I'll never.
Brian,
again.
Yeah, well, there's a great story on that. You obviously blew it for us.
Great story, Mario. He benched Jarrett Patterson, Washington Commanders legend, to play Brandon Ayuk, and we ended up losing the championship because of it. After Najee went off for like 30 points on a Monday night game to almost bring us back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, if we would have started Jarrett Patterson, we won because we lost by 5. We could have won it all.
We did. Very sad.
There's a little and there's Brian and Tyler, who is not part of the Dad Bod crew, love to say how clutch I am.
He's not.
And that's sarcasm. They say I'm the least clutch person ever. And it happens in fantasy football. You would never imagine it to.
It happens in everything. He just
fumbles last minute.
Outthinks himself every time. Without fail.
It's always great. For you guys coming soon when I think of an article to write. Robbie's like, man, I'm bored with this. All right, so let's hop into
I'm listening to this thunder behind me going nuts.
Brian, I also, before we hop into the news, I saw AJ Dillon apparently was still on the board. He went round 8, pick 12, and I somehow missed him. I think ESPN has him ranked super low.
ESPN's ranks are so screwed up.
Dude, because I didn't even see him on my list. I thought he was gone. This was like pick 60. He's been normally going 50 to 70 anywhere I've been in.
Yeah, dude. Their ranks, you can abuse their ranks. If everybody's looking at ESPN, you can definitely abuse those ranks.
Yep.
Some strategy there.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, unfortunate news struck for Washington Commanders. What sounded like lead back Brian Robinson. He was shot twice in a carjacking attempt. One to the butt area, one to the leg. So sad news. He sounds to be doing better. He's stable. Sounds like he's in good. What is it? Good vibes. But yeah, hopefully he gets back out on the field earlier for fantasy, because that is what we do. It does mean something for Antonio Gibson. I think
it breathes a little life back into him. What a lot of people thought was, Antonio Gibson's last ride kind of re-sparks that fire.
Man, you couldn't have used
Brian though.
3 worse metaphors while talking about a player coming back.
I don't even know what I said, but
yeah. Well, when we re-listened, that was not intentional what he said, but yes, he's right. Antonio Gibson is back to fantasy relevance because of this news. Because I mean, it's either, as Brian likes to call him, Jordan Patterson, or it's J.D. McKissick. We all are expecting Antonio Gibson to get. We didn't even know if Brian Robinson was the guy. It did make everyone nervous, but now it's kind of.
Well, it's because McKissick just has that really defined role. Like, they're not going to move him into the Antonio Gibson Robinson role.
Right. Nope, I agree. It's so keep an eye on Antonio Gibson and where he's going in your drafts, because I'm sure it's in the 70s. It may jump up through by the weekend though.
And it might be possible that Brian Robinson becomes a very late season addition later on, like one of the guys to keep an eye on, possibly.
I think so. I think that's a good call out, because I mean, even with rookie running backs, that's kind of what you're expecting in a way, that second half breakout. This guy's a bruiser, 225, man. He's big. Destroyed his senior year. I think it was Alabama, right? Am I wrong about that, boys? Yeah.
No, he's Bama. Yeah.
He waited behind yards. Waited behind Najee, waited behind can't think of the other guy.
And it could have been Damian.
He finally got his time to shine.
Gotta say, this one hurts, because I have been kind of pounding the table that this dude's gonna eat into Antonio Gibson's work. I've been saying that all off season.
Well, and it still may happen. It's just gonna be delayed now.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, that was my whole take on why I did not like Antonio Gibson this season. I was so off of the train of Antonio Gibson because I thought this was going to happen.
Sorry, but this may be like insensitive, but it's interesting to note just that, like, every time you're hearing about this Brian Robinson getting shot thing, they're saying his leg, his glute, and selfishly, nobody's saying anything like, is he shot to where it's not going to be able to be repaired? Like I mentioned this to Mario, like, yeah, they're saying he's stable, but like, how do we know the guy's not like paralyzed? Like, you can be stable and still have no feeling in your leg, I guess. So fair. I hope he can just come back from this. We always got to root for the other Brians. I don't remember any since Brian Robisky, and he was a big bust. So I really need him to show out.
Yeah, I know he had surgery. And,
I caught what you just said.
That all went well.
Let's go, Brian's.
I don't know.
You said he had surgery? I did not know he had surgery.
Yeah, I think just to take the bullet out.
Man, that's crazy.
Posted right
What did you
after.
expect? They were just going to pinch it out like a pimple?
I don't know. I guess I honestly just didn't really.
About it.
I didn't really think about it. Like, I don't know, man. This is just so out of left field, and it's so crazy because when you go on like any message boards or anything, you see a bunch of Washington fans just talking about how similar it is to like the Sean Taylor story, and how it's like both Washington. They think they're cursed. Yeah,
dude, it's sad. It really is sad because it's a guy that's fighting for his position. looking like he's going to get some valuable playing time. So, like, from all of us, we hope that he gets back out there. He dominates. And honestly, I hope he has a long career in the NFL. It's freaking sad, man. That shit's sad. It's a weird world we live in.
They said it was like teenagers too, which is even crazier.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
The Steelers did not name a starting QB yet, but some expect it to be Mitch. That's the reports I've been seeing. Does this mean anything to you guys?
No. I think it's going to be
especially.
Mitch. Yeah, I think it's going to be Mitch. And I mean, obviously it matters for like 2 QB leagues and stuff like that, but I'm not going to adjust my wide receiver rankings based on either of those two being the quarterback. I don't think it'll mean too much to my rankings unless it's, like I said, a 2 QB league. Then I can kind of mess around with those two. But other than that, not really.
Yeah, I'm not really going to touch either of them either. 2 QB league, sure.
Yeah, that's the only reason it might make
Does it change anything with the receivers or running backs, anything? Or do you guys kind of expect similar production? I think the argument could be made that Kenny Pickett is more valuable to Najee just because your rookie quarterback tend to check down to the tight end or the running back a little bit more.
Not for me. I still think Mitch is he does that. We've seen him do that. So either way, I think it's going to project pretty similarly between the two. It's just, I think if anything, there might be a little bit more growing pains with a rookie quarterback coming in and how he'll be utilizing, all of his weapons, as opposed to maybe he'll just kind of focus in on one player, like, maybe Deontay Johnson, because he's known as a really good receiver. So maybe he's going to kind of hyper focus in on him as opposed to, okay, where's Chase Claypool going down the seam? Where's wide receiver, all that sort of that stuff. But I really don't think it'll mean too much for the receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying. I think it is something. I think that what's worthy to note here is that there has been news about Najee as well. I don't know if either of you saw that. It sounds like he is dealing with what's called a Liz Frank sprain, I think is what I read.
Yeah, I saw that. I think they said he's in it's like a 2 to 4 week recovery and he's on his 4th week, allegedly.
And he got some work this past preseason game. So
okay.
I don't think it's too. I think he's on the tail end of the injury, which is good. And he's got 2 weeks to rest up. So I think he'll be okay by season 1 or game 1.
The only scary thing is that foot injuries tend to linger or pop back up.
Yeah. That's obviously something to note. I mean, it's not like a hammy, like a soft tissue, which makes me more comfortable. But I can't remember the last time I've seen a Liz Frank sprain. So I don't know what that entails. Maybe we can get a hold of your boy Mario. Shout out to Jesse over the fantasy doctors over there.
Yeah, he would know.
Yeah, maybe we can shoot him a tweet and see if he'll get back to us on that.
I think I saw something recently about Christian McCaffrey's past injuries and how likely running backs are to re-injure their same high ankle sprains. And I know that's not the same as Liz Frank, but I just feel like anything with feet, when you have, you're putting the full workload on it over and over and over and over again in practice and in games, it's just a lot more likely to get re-aggravated.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense, especially with someone as quick cutting and powerful as Najee is. But, he's still young, so hopefully it's kind of a quick comeback.
Yeah.
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 AKA Silos joining us. What's up, dude? Let's keep it moving here. Hell, I really forgot a hyphen when I wrote this. Jimmy G
resigns
signs with San Fran. Some really left field news here. He's staying with San Fran. They offered him a contract. There's incentives for playing time. It kind of puts a wet nap on Trey Lance, cool him down a little bit. It makes you wonder. Sure makes you wonder. No. Robbie's shaking his head no. Brian's shaking his head no. This doesn't concern either of you guys just in the tiniest bit.
I genuinely, if you want my personal opinion, I just said this pre-show.
I do want your personal
I think
opinion,
he
Robbie. Thank
restructured
you.
his contract to be traded. Like no one was going to trade for that contract. So
I think it was just
open.
an insurance policy. Sorry, Rob, finish your.
He has a no trade clause still.
Yeah, so I mean he can waive it though. Like he wants to handpick the team he wants to go to, but I mean we keep seeing injuries. Who knows what's gonna happen? Like he doesn't want to go to the Giants, right? He wants to go to a contending team, which is fair.
The Giants aren't contending.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And nobody was gonna trade for that contract. So now this opens the possibility for a trade. If that makes sense.
I think this was mostly.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go. I think it was mostly just an insurance policy, especially with the way the contract's structured. So he basically gets dirt if he doesn't play in any games, and then based on starting time and games played, he can earn up to like $9 million for the year. So I think it's more of an insurance policy, especially if they're watching Trey Lance run around like a madman in practice every day, just to kind of ensure that they have a backup plan and they can still compete for a Super Bowl should Trey Lance go down.
Was he not guaranteed any of the money that he was getting? What was going to happen if he got cut? Do either of you have that information in front of you? Because I'm kind of confused what his incentive was here.
Who? Jimmy?
Yeah.
Do
you have it in front of you?
His incentive would be to get off the team, right? So if he wants to leave the 49ers and go to a team to play, the 49ers didn't have to cut him, right? So this kind of opens that door up to more teams to trade for him. Like, just for instance, if the Browns want him for the first.
Okay. So wait, like you've said that, but I also don't understand why a team wouldn't just trade for him and then restructure on terms that they're going to restructure a contract. Cause that happens all the time.
Because then Jimmy wouldn't have to do it. Because
we did that with Amari. I think they would have to agree with it before they traded for him.
Jimmy would have to agree to it.
Yeah, right? Sure. But if he's already agreeing to re-sign, what's the difference? I don't know if it does. I know what you're saying. Like I understand what you're saying, but like at the same time, there has to be some reason that he chose to sign this contract. And to me, there was no leash on Trey Lance. And I don't know where the line is, but if they're not winning and Jimmy is still there, which I don't think he necessarily is locked and loaded and going to be there. But if they're not winning and Jimmy is still there, then I would feel some sort of fear.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know, man. Maybe you're right. Maybe they just want to have Jimmy in their back pocket. Shanahan has said multiple times that, this is Trey Lance's team. They're not going to deviate from that kind of.
You have to put plan. That trust. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't imagine them running Trey Lance out there and then halfway through the season saying, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Like, it's hard for me to see that happening. But you could be right. Maybe they just want to have Jimmy G in the back pocket in case Trey Lance looks so bad that they need to do it. But that would be a complete, we're throwing our hands up and Trey Lance isn't going to be the guy for the future. And we're just calling it quits on our number. What was he, 2 or 3 pick? We traded up for him to go get him. And now we're after watching this guy for 8 games. We don't want him anymore. Maybe, but
I don't necessarily. Go ahead, Brian.
I think the only thing that makes sense. So he took about a $20 million pay cut. But that was unguaranteed money. So he took it so that he could guarantee $6.5 million, and he can still make back up to like 9, near 20 million. Right? Well, it's 9 on top of the 6.5. So it's like 16 almost. And it does, like Rob said, it gives him a chance to have a much friendlier contract too, if he were to go to a different team. And it still gives him that option to basically pick what team he wants to go to, or at least have a say in it while staying on the team he wants to stay on.
Yeah. So I mean, there's I know that they're not going to give up on Trey Lance right away. I understand that. I know it's his team. I get that too. I do think this creates, like I kind of said, some sort of boundary if something happens with Trey Lance not looking good. Not saying they cut him, not saying they trade him, just like maybe that they just need to win and Jimmy G ends up going in and does the Alex Smith where he's like, I know there's a guy behind me and I'm just going to dominate now. I don't see that being as a situation, but I felt a lot more comfortable about Trey Lance. I don't want to say a lot more. I felt a little bit more comfortable knowing that Trey Lance was pretty much the only QB. Yeah. And now that's a little bit murkier, but what you're saying makes sense. Maybe he still gets traded, and maybe they're just waiting for the right team to trade with when a major QB goes down in midseason.
I think
maybe that's all that says.
Yeah. I just think it kind of opens the door up. I understand what you're saying. It could have been
maybe because you can't restructure mid-season. I don't know if that's possible.
No, I think you can.
Oh, can you?
It would be absolutely insane
I don't know.
to me if the 49ers are just not sold on Trey Lance. I mean, I could see it, but it would.
Is that what you meant by like insurance policy?
Kind of. I meant it more as like a he gets injured type of way. But I mean, it could just be that they're seeing him in practice and in preseason, and they're like, "This ain't the guy." That would be shocking to me.
Yeah, but it's just hard for me to think that they kept saying over and over, we're just going to run out Trey Lance. Why would they even put that out there if they're not sold on him? You know what I mean? Like, why not just say, hey, we're still going to see what Jimmy G can do when he comes back from the injury, instead of just like pounding the table that this is the guy, Trey Lance. And Jimmy G will see what happens with him later. Like, they pretty much said, like, he's not going to be on the team. Like, in more ways than one, they said that.
Yeah.
So it's just weird now that they're backtracking and they're going to have him on the team after they already said, like, we don't want you. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
So I'm seeing an article here that says if he were cut, he would have only made $2 million or released. So that could be possible incentive as well to get that 6.5 guaranteed.
That's, I had a feeling that had something to do with it. I think they took more of a dead cap, and it wasn't even that bad of a dead cap than he would make. So that makes sense. Good.
You want to hear what Chase Edmonds just went?
Where?
5th.
Oh, round?
Yeah.
Kind of early.
Kind of? I've been seeing him go 7th. It is a 16
we'll talk about that here shortly.
Oh, wait, we're about to get to that.
And it's a 16-teamer. So we are spending a little bit more time on the news today because the tight end rankings are not going to take very long. There's not too much to dive in there. So we're spending a little bit more on a big news day. Laviska Shenault got traded. Now, this may seem like not even noteworthy for both of you, but I am excited. Laviska Truther. I should have changed my name. I don't even know how to. Should say Laviska Truther. I am excited. I am not projecting anything crazy. Like, I really am not. I just want him to have new life in the NFL.
I'm fair with that,
the way he should be used. Mm-hmm. We've seen flashes.
Do you think they'll do that?
Flashes.
Do you think they'll do that?
Thank you.
Have we seen flashes?
We have.
Have we?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Do I think there's a good chance that Carolina does it? So there's only a few coaches that really likes to run the ball with their receiver.
Okay.
You know who one of those coaches are?
Is it Rule?
Yes. He ran Curtis Samuel in 2020 41 times. Curtis Samuel is not Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel's way better.
Receiving.
Dude, I don't know what happened to you this offseason, but you just latched onto Laviska Shenault, who isn't worth a bag of peanuts. You were like the biggest.
Look, Brian, there's going to be one guy like you're stuck on Josh Palmer. He goes the same area as Josh Palmer. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not telling people to go draft him 10th round.
But like Josh Palmer's actually done stuff given opportunity.
So has Laviska. Kind of, except for last year. Last year was Urban. Like, how can he be held accountable?
Yards per attempt, 3.7.
Are you in on Trevor Lawrence? I already have a whole thing for you. His yards after catch was like the 6th or 7th highest, and his yards per target was like one of the lowest. Who else did we talk about like that, Rob? With Conan, he pointed out.
His yards per reception are super high. 9.
His yards after catch. His yards after catch was 6th or 7th.
Yep, he was. I mean, his metrics are good. He has a lot of, those weird in-depth metrics that make him, desirable. Can he
also
put
had
it
some
all
drops.
together? Can he get the opportunity? What does this do to DJ Moore? What does this do to Robbie Anderson? What does this do to CMC?
I think it does nothing to DJ Moore. I'm not touching Robbie Anderson one way or the other. I was never touching. He just had such a bad year.
Yeah,
and it wasn't only like his year was bad. He was inefficient. It was like not only did Sam Darnold couldn't get him the ball, but anytime he did, he still had drops in those situations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what's very interesting, and this is way off topic, but J.D. McKissick on Pro Football Reference is listed as a wide receiver.
That is interesting. All right. So do you guys have any more thoughts on Laviska? Because I'll move on. I don't want to get too crazy with it.
He was 46th in the league.
He had 100
Can he be good? I think he can be good. He just needs opportunity. Will he get it there? I hope so. He's definitely, I'm more high on him now that he's off a team and with a team that might use him differently.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe, right?
Yeah.
He was all hype, no substance.
He's worth
and
a
I think that's
flyer.
going to continue.
I'm asking for a late round flyer, or you just pick him up on your free agents right now if you have somebody like, I don't know, somebody you can drop.
Yeah, he's worth a flyer.
Maybe you drafted Laquan Treadwell. You could drop him. I hope nobody did. Laquan Treadwell was cut. I don't think we need to spend too much time on this. The Jaguars were very active about their wide receivers this season or today. So does that mean anything to you guys? I mean, it obviously means they're going Marvin Jones, Zay Jones. And
it's funny they traded Laviska and still cut Treadwell.
Yeah, they really cleared out some of those guys. It is a little interesting.
Christian Kirk.
I don't know if this necessarily. He's not the one that I would say it bumps up. I think it bumps maybe Zay Jones. Maybe they have a little bit more confidence in him than I realized.
Really? Okay. Well, Laviska, what would Laviska? Who would he eat into? For me, it would have been Christian.
It was never going to be Christian Kirk that he would eat into. They don't like Laviska enough. He would have been the last one that they would have put him on the outside before they would have let him eat into Christian Kirk's time. Or if it was like Christian Kirk was needing a breather, then Laviska would come in. But no, it would have been honestly the only guy that I thought he would eat into time was Zay Jones, and unless Marvin Jones has 0 left in the tank.
I mean, he is like 33. He might have 0 left in the tank.
He might. Vikings are taking trade calls regarding Alexander Mattison. This was my most exciting piece of news for today.
I saw like 12 teams reached out to the Vikings about him. 12 or 18. 12? It was something in 12. The teens. Yeah. Just
I'm trying. There's a couple landing spots, not many, but there's some that could be like really fun to watch. Somebody on Twitter said the Eagles, and it just perked my head up so far.
The Eagles have not had a fantasy relevant rusher in like 3 years. I mean, Jordan I know Howard, people
probably, right?
Yeah, and that was like what? Just because he was scoring some touchdowns, TDs, like it wasn't
TD
like
after TD.
It was only TDs.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders had like one kind of good year, maybe.
Yeah, he did. I think it was half a year, maybe.
Yeah, and like Kenneth Gainwell had like half a year as well. Like if he goes to the Eagles, I'm not buying it just because of how they're going to use him.
Do you have a favorite landing spot here?
Honestly, I wouldn't hate if he went to like the Saints.
I would kind of hate it because there's no immediate path to starting. That's the only reason I would hate it.
Suspension.
That's true. I don't know if that's coming though. Let me see.
It comes next year.
Falcons. Would you hate that? Their line sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
but it would be like a likely situation.
It would be. He'd definitely start there.
Yeah.
But like, do you want a Falcons running back? That's the real question.
Rob's gonna hate this one. Texans. They're possibly. They always like to buy running backs. I bet you they're one of the teams that call.
What are we talking about?
Honestly, you know who?
Alexander Mattison.
I don't think that would hurt Dame.
Here's probably the 2 best teams he could go to, I think. And they are
Cardinals.
I was going to say the Seahawks.
Okay.
And you're going to hate me for this one.
I put
But
49ers on there.
I think the Chargers.
I said the Chargers too. That was one sort of a planning early sort of thing.
Because they've been desperate for that backup running back. Their backup running backs get tons of work. Like, I don't think people have been, well, okay, that's a lie. People have definitely been paying attention to how efficient Eckler is, but like their backups get a lot of work as well. It is not just a one-man show there.
I would actually really, that might be my favorite landing spot. Again, it's not an immediate path to starting, but Eckler's 27 this season. Yeah. Like, I think a succession plan is in order.
Succession plan
and
slash
air.
60-40 split, maybe. I could see it.
Stop it. You're getting me pumped. I have him on too many dynasty teams. I'm getting too excited. I think Chargers would be my favorite spot. It's probably true. Like the spots that are the most RB needy are the worst situations for him.
Yes.
But it would be most playing time. But at the same time, do I want him to get killed? Do I want him to look like crap behind a crap line? No. Put him on a good team with Justin Herbs.
I would say.
And future Hall of Famer Josh Palmer.
Another one I want to say is like, just trade Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson for him. Bring him into the Rams. Give him the role.
Dude, I think he would be really fun on the Rams, but it would be a mess for everyone.
Also, another one could be the Panthers. I mean, they don't want Chuba Hubbard running the ball.
I thought 49ers was another one that could have possibly happened. You know,
All
they
right,
would
we're
take
just throwing
on
out every team now.
Miami Dolphins, maybe they just released Sony Michel. Boom, segue. Sony Michel was released by the Miami Dolphins today. To me, this skyrockets Chase Edmonds' ADP. I know a lot of people think that this is more of a hint for Raheem Mostert. Yes, I think it does show confidence in him as far as my confidence, and I'm assuming both of you nodding confidence. Yep. I don't know if Raheem can make it through a season, especially after losing a chip from his knee. Go ahead, Rob.
No, that's it. I mean, I think Raheem Mostert could, if he played 17 weeks, he'd be unbelievable and he'd be a league winner. But unfortunately, I don't like predicting injuries or anything like that, but I just can't see him making it through a season, which sucks.
It's tough, especially after that injury last year. You know what I just thought about? Happy for Myles Gaskin a little bit. Like, I know it sucks that Sony Michel, but Myles Gaskin working out there, apparently. He was supposed to be the bubble guy.
This is going to be a Chase Edmond Mostert split the whole way. Like there's no Chase Edmond cannot handle 100% carries. He can't handle 60% carries. Maybe I think 60. I think like 55-45. I think they're going to use them both a lot.
I actually don't even think it's going to be 55-45. I think it's going to end up being 55-35 and whatever the remaining of that is.
Yeah, that could be.
I think they have Myles Gaskin and
they have Salvin Ahmed. Yeah.
They have.
It never made sense to me because it's spelled Ahmed, but all the announcers always said Ahmed.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how.
I think that's a cultural thing. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Makes like a C sound.
Yeah. So unless we're really idiots, AKA Silos Willie here says Palmer is probably the best tight end in Madden.
I didn't click that because he said tight end, so
that's a little odd.
I couldn't tell if he was moving Palmer into his tight end spot.
Yeah, do you think he's talking about Donald Parham?
Maybe Donald Parham's gonna be the truth. Oh, he did mean Donald Parham.
Look at his Parham.
He's the man. He's like 6'8". He's huge.
All right, let's get into our meat and potatoes here. I'm glad we got this. It was a big news day. That was a fun open for us because we have had some slow news. So today I was just freaking out in Discord. It was great. Great time. Oh, yeah. The Dad Bod Fantasy Squad's top 12 tight ends. We're very consensus here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the reason that like we spent 30 minutes on news because like there's not our tight end rankings are very vanilla. Maybe there's one Darren Waller behind Dalton Schultz.
You can't not be vanilla with tight end rankings. I mean, there are 6 guys basically, and then the rest of them.
That's the thing. It's just so. Yeah, you can shuffle. In my opinion, you can shuffle Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts around in whatever order, and then your other 3 to 4
Wait
are
a
pretty
second.
locked.
I agree with
Did you
that.
just slide? Oh, you're agreeing with it? You're
I just said
I
in,
actually-
sliding,
in my
casually
opinion.
sliding Pitts in the top tier of tight ends.
in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I put Pitts at 2. I mean, I have him as 4 in my rankings right now, but I have since in my head moved him up. And the one that, like, in our draft on Saturday, George Kittle was the one who went before Pitts, like 6 picks before Pitts. And the guy said he was really battling between them, but I don't know how you don't go Pitts over Kittle.
Oh yeah, I'm not even a question for me. It's not even close. Not even close.
So Brian and I just took him in a draft. We got him after, like he just said, Kittle. And I've been notoriously the squeaky wheel with the Pitts ranking.
Yeah.
I have him the lowest.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
pissed me off.
I'm excited to have a share of him. I'm excited to watch him. I'm excited to see if he does it without a very good quarterback that gets
You are not
got no love
allowed.
last season.
So you are not allowed on the Pitts train.
To reap the
So here,
these
let me
benefits.
just give you a
Not
little
allowed.
counter. So yes, Matt Ryan was a better passer. However, the Falcons line is terrible and Mariota is more mobile. Therefore, more dump offs to Pitts.
Bing, bing,
There's
boom.
your
Bing, bang, boom.
Yep, there's your counter right there. So that comment about TJ Hawkinson, everybody knows that I love my boy, Baby Hawk. And actually, TJ Hawkinson was having a pretty good year. I want to say he was like top 4 up until his injury problems. He was kind of turning it up. And another year with Goff, another year with Amon Ra. I think Hawkinson may be able to break into this next tier, this little Darren Waller, Dalton Schultz tier.
I'm cool with that. I think personally, I think our rankings, the more I'm looking into everything and kind of digging into it, I think Zach Ertz is kind of pretty low. I think he deserves some more respect. Put some respect on that name.
Weren't you low on him beginning of the year, or am I wrong about that?
I was lower, but I'm coming around to him. The more I look into it, I think he deserves to be around that 5 to 6.
Oh, wow. Alex has him 17. He's the one throwing off that ranking.
Yeah, I definitely moved him up. Where do I have him?
You have him at 6. I have him at 6. Mario has him at 5. So we are the 3 high guys on Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I've definitely moved him up the more I look into it, because he was, I believe, tight end for since when he joined Arizona.
He did look really good when he joined the Cardinals.
A lot of that was without Kyler, I believe. I think the sky's the limit for him this season. If he can stay healthy, I think the offense is going to be wide open down the middle of the field once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, and I think he's going to be utilized in the red zone. So it's going to be a quick, fast-paced offense that's going to throw a lot, and it's going to be very friendly for a tight end.
Yes, and then you guys have been talking up Cole Kmet like crazy, which I have him ranked as like 20, and so does House.
Which is egregious.
He had 3 touchdowns against the Browns the other day, but anybody who can argue that that's a great sign did not watch how bad the Browns defense was in that game. Oh, I mean, it was preseason, so it doesn't matter much. But
the defense wasn't great. You played vanilla defense. You're missing your 2 starting cornerbacks, your 2 starting defensive ends. But what I will say, watching that game, and I rewatched it, the offensive scheme that they're going to run this season is so much more beneficial for Justin Fields, and it's going to open up the field for Cole Kmet. There's going to be a lot of boots. There's going to be a lot of play action plays to the tight end. There's going to be a lot of.
You see that, Mario?
That's supposed to be Hawkinson?
That's Hawkins. Just based off of Mario's one picture.
Yeah. But I truly do believe that this offensive scheme is going to fit well with the players that they have in place.
And so a lot of that also relies on, obviously, Justin Fields, who a lot of people are predicting to have a very good year.
He looked great, man. He looked great.
I do think he looks a lot like he kind of looked lost last year.
Yeah.
So this year will be a big stepping stone for him to kind of see what he's got. The only thing that kind of, is disappointing is just how bad the Bears are probably going to be. So hopefully Kmet could be that lone bright spot, him and Fields possibly.
And Mooney.
I agree with what you're saying, Brian. I don't think they're going to be as bad as people are. I truly believe Matt Nagy was so bad and did not know how to run a team and how to call an offense. I really think he held this team back so much. And if they can just even become competent and get Justin Fields kind of going a little bit, I really do think Kmet, Mooney, Montgomery, and Fields, I think those four can have nice seasons for fantasy football.
I don't disagree with the Matt Nagy slander.
Yeah, dude.
In fact, I agree with all of it. He is that bad. But the Bears are in that same group with the Giants and the Jets and the Lions, where you're like, okay, they have some nice skill pieces. However, there's a reason they're all being projected to be bottom of the league in final records. Yeah, and so
which is fine.
But
that's
also,
good for fantasy.
But it's not just defenses. Like the Bears have a very, very, very suspect offensive line. They like to run the ball. Fields is definitely, we haven't seen anything from Fields yet. So jumping on board with him a little too early for my liking. Same with, Zach Wilson. Danny Dimes is literally on his last legs. And actually, a funny thing I saw on Twitter was that, well, actually, I don't even know if I want to call this funny or tragic, but Tyrod Taylor got injured playing for the Giants. And, Tyrod Taylor in the past has gotten injured for a bunch of starting quarterbacks to, make a leap, like Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, or I want to say RG3 maybe even. And so they're saying this is Daniel Jones' final chance. He's gotten the power of Tyrod Taylor to finally make that leap. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
No, I can't.
And poor Tyrod Taylor, man, honestly. Especially, I hope he sued the mess
here.
I hope he sued the mess out of the Chargers.
What did I miss that you got here?
What were you doing?
Well, I just don't know how we went from tight ends, Cole Kmet, to Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor.
I was comparing the Bears to the Giants and the Jets of how they look like they have decent skill players, but they're probably going to be a trash team.
That's fair. I truly am excited to watch the Bears, though. I really am excited to see what this team can produce.
That's the nastiest take I've ever heard.
That's fine, dude. That's fine. But I'm excited to watch the offense and see how they play. I really am, because if they can just switch the offense around to suit Fields' strengths, I think they have something. I really do.
There's only a few teams I'm really uninterested in watching this year. And that's the Patriots. That's the Commanders. That's the Seahawks. There's only a few teams, like the Texans. I don't want to watch any of the Texans.
Dude, I think the Bears can be very.
I think they'll be fun to watch. I
think they're gonna be fun. Yeah, I think they're gonna be fun, man.
I'm not saying it's gonna be good. I'll definitely watch a couple games though.
Also, a sneaky play if you're playing in a 2 tight end super flat or tight end premium leagues, so those kind of leagues, that the backup tight end on that team, I think he's going to get a lot of targets. I think they're going to run a ton of 2 tight end sets, 1 wide receiver, and do a ton of play action boots and stuff like that. I think it's going to be a fun team to watch.
The backup tight end for Chicago?
I'm not even sure who he is. I'm just saying, just from watching that game.
Going off of scheme.
Well, how relevant do you think he could be? And it's got to be like a 16 team.
Ryan Griffin.
No, I don't. Ryan Griffin. Yeah, I think he's if he comes down with 6 touchdowns.
The backup tight end is going to come down with 6 touchdowns?
I think he's going to be on the field a ton.
Man,
I really do.
This is wild to me.
This is a bold.
All of this is too wild to me. I need to exit this conversation. I don't know what's going on here. First, we were talking about, and somehow we got to Tyrod Taylor. Then we bounced back to Ryan Griffin ceiling 6 TDs.
No, that's floor mark.
I'm just no. I'm saying if you have a 2 tight end league and if you want to roster 3, I think he's a sneaky play.
In a 16 teamer, right?
No.
A 12 team, you're gonna roster him as your third?
Dude, this is like Mario holding on to 4 tight ends, and they were all better than Ryan Griffin and being roasted by everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I had Mo Alley Cox and I was getting roasted. At least
Oh, you want to have Mario? You want to have a bet?
Oh,
this is not a Mo Alley versus Ryan Griffin.
No. Ryan Griffin, I bet he finishes top 24.
Yeah, but Mario, 24 is Albert.
I'll take it. No, I'll take it. This is the easiest bet I've made all year. Now, if Cole Kmet gets hurt, I am screwed out of my mind. But
all right, we'll put a preface.
No.
God damn, I just got sniped.
Crazy. That was crazy to me how we got to Ryan Griffin.
Put it in the.
I do want.
Thing.
Justin Fields should be throwing to Cole Kmet. I'm excited. He had 93 targets last year. We get over that 100 target threshold. Things start looking good for a tight end position.
And is this a good time to mention Donald Parham?
He's already been mentioned. Yeah, you should have put that in the bet too.
I know, right? Best Madden Ultimate Team tight end.
What if Willie was actually talking about Gerald Everett and he just thought it was Donald
Dude,
Parham?
that'd be even funnier.
Yeah, it would. So Cole Kmet, like I've been getting him in ESPN. I get him in, I think it's later than what you would normally get him in. I'm not quite sure, but he ends up falling on my team quite a bit in there because it's like 11th, 12th round and he's just sitting there. Actually, Brian and I just did a draft where he's in the free agents right now. And man, is it killing me because we are hurting at RB. So we're rostering a ton. But and we don't even have a kicker defense yet. So we really have no room to add Cole Kmet. We also drafted Kyle Pitts, as you mentioned earlier.
So, I don't really think that's too crazy. Just because if you look at the guys below him, say you're in a 12-team league and nobody wants to hold a backup tight end. That just means that Mike Gesicki's on a team, Hunter Henry's on a team, Irv Smith is on a team, Noah Fant, Robert Tonyan, Pat Freiermuth, Tyler Higbee. And all those guys did get drafted in that league. And
Tyler Higbee is absolutely bonkers to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Tyler Higbee. The rest of those guys, I feel like it's a dart throw between those and Kmet.
You could break it down just by if we're going a volume approach here. Why Gesicki is being shopped as it is because Mike McDaniel doesn't know how to use him. There's Tyreek, Jalen Waddle there, even Chase Edmonds. Cole Kmet is with Darnell Mooney and a box of Pringles. There's nobody there. David Montgomery doesn't catch balls out of the backfield that often. This is an area, how much do we expect Justin Fields to throw? At least 400 if he starts the whole season. At least.
All right, I feel like you're making a great argument for Robert Tonyan.
No. I mean, I love Robert Tonyan too. I have him pretty high up. The ACL scares me. But why is there no... There's a lot of people that are in on Cole Kmet, so it's not necessarily a Rob and I thing. There's a ton of people on Twitter about Cole Kmet, but because the volume is going to be there, the targets are going to be there. It's an easy grab. It's a cheap grab. There's always, I think I can name in the past 4 years that there's been an RB or a tight end that either goes outside the top 12 that ends up in top 3, 4. I mean, Dalton Schultz, Darren Waller was one of them. George Kittle was another one. What did Kyle Pitts go as last year, Rob? TJ Hawkinson 1 year, he was top 12.
What did Pitts finish at, or what did he drafted?
What did he was drafted still pretty early last
year.
He
was round 5.
High.
Okay. TJ Hawkinson was another one. So these guys, there's always one that pops up and then they stay in the top 6, top 7 for years. Cole Kmet is that guy for you. If you want your sleeper tight end, it's Cole Kmet, and that's why he's top 10. Robbie, what do you have him as?
I believe
you guys both have him at 8.
8. It's about right.
You and I, Rob, against the
and I think his upsides. He could finish. He could be Dalton Schultz of last year. Top 5.
I absolutely think he could. I don't see the top tier ceiling.
I agree.
I don't see that.
I agree.
But I think a top 5 is very doable.
Yep. It's all about the target volume.
The Bears could march out, have a terrible offensive line. Justin Fields looks lost, and their offense has 5 first downs a game.
That's a situation where
it could be ugly.
It could be.
Yeah.
Rob won't agree with that. Rob won't
yeah.
believe that.
I
but I'm not-
don't necessarily agree with that either,
It's
but
a
Don't see it.
situation.
I wouldn't be
I
surprised
think
by
the-
it either.
I genuinely think the floor for this team was what happened last season. And that was terrible with a coach that just had no clue what he was doing.
Allen
Robbie-
Robinson did quit on that team.
He sure did.
Everybody did. That's the other
Robbie-
thing. Go on.
Who is too low on this list for you outside of Kyle Pitts? You already talked about Kyle Pitts enough.
I talked about Zach Ertz. I think Zach Ertz is a little low.
Is there anybody else? And by low, we mean like not
talking-
ranked high enough. It gets confusing. You get confused.
Let me pull up my rankings here because
you could also flip this question. And is there somebody that's too high for your liking?
Oh, it's hard to say that, but I think Waller's a couple spots a little too high. Just based on, I think he's due for touchdown regression just because of who's on his team now, and just how this team is gonna move forward. Hawkinson, I want to see it. There's a lot of weapons there now, and I think Amon's gonna have a big season. I think he's gonna get a lot of those short yardage throws that normally go to Hawkinson. So those would be the two. I'm curious where Evan Ingram's going to end up. I think he's a sneaky top 12 play. And I like Njoku as well.
We've been waiting for Evan Ingram to bust out, and the Giants were running plays for him, and he couldn't do anything with them.
Brian,
Actually,
Coop has ruined Evan Ingram for both Robbie and I.
Yeah.
He has sold us like if we were being sold a telephone book in the early 1980s. But go ahead.
So he just dropped him on your doorstep and ran away.
And he said, take this.
Yeah. I actually, I would move David Njoku up. I think
I don't mind it.
move him up to like 9 even.
I don't mind it.
Like, Dallas Goedert is, he's got new receiver in town, 2 good receivers. Komet could flame out. Dawson Knox, you guys all hate him. And Njoku, though, I mean, like Robbie said about Komet, it's Amari Cooper and a bag of peanuts in Cleveland. Got to throw it to somebody. They're going to be able to move the ball on the ground, and Njoku's going to play a lot. Harrison Bryant fell off a cliff. They got rid of Hooper.
He's their number 2 target.
Yeah. He looked pretty good in the preseason game the other day. He only had 3 catches, but he looked pretty good.
And what I will say with Brissett getting the first 11 games, it's going to be heavy tight end usage. It's going to be very heavy tight end usage, very Amari Cooper based. He is not going to throw it deep to Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's going to keep it, 10 to 15 yards. He's going to keep it 10 to 15 yards. He's not going to be throwing bombs downfield. And he's going to look at the middle of the field where Njoku's going to be.
Well, I got a couple questions involving this. Well, first, I don't know if either of you saw the Browns had interest in OJ Howard. I am pretty certain both of your responses will be, I don't care, doesn't do anything to David Njoku. So I don't think I'm going to answer that unless you feel any way different. The one question I do have for Brian, David Njoku, you weren't on for the breakout episode, were you?
I don't think so, no.
Is this a breakout tight end for you? Like if you had to pick a breakout tight end, which means you haven't necessarily seen that fantasy production before, is this it? Because we haven't from Njoku. As far as fantasy production, we have never seen a full season. I don't think he's ever came in the top 12 fantasy-wise.
No, I don't believe so.
Out of these guys, yeah.
Out of all the tight ends. Out of all
the tight ends, I mean, because we've seen it from Hawkinson, whether it's for just like 6 games.
He's usually like top 8, but he's finished top 8. Yeah.
We've seen it from Ertz. We've seen it from Goedert. So of the rest of the tight ends, yeah, David Njoku could definitely break out this year. And if it's not this year, then I question if it'll ever happen.
Oh, because you think this year he's getting peppered?
I think he's going to have the best chance he's ever had. I mean, he has literally always had some kind of competition, or the Browns haven't fully committed. They've fully committed this year.
Okay. Can you hit me with a drop? I'm going to do this for both of you. The would you rather, please?
Would you rather?
Robbie, you said you had some love for David Njoku as well. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we need to figure out where this love falls for you guys, and we'll start from least to greatest.
Okay.
David Njoku or Evan Ingram, which is going to throw things off a little bit for Robbie, I'm sure.
I have Njoku one spot higher.
The Chief.
Okay. David Njoku or Irv Smith?
Njoku.
David Njoku, this is for funsies, or Albert O?
Njoku.
David Njoku or Robert Tonyan?
Njoku.
I got Njoku 2 spots higher.
Ooh. All right, let's get a little spicier then. David Njoku or Hunter Henry?
Njoku.
David
I don't have him
Njoku
high.
or Mike Gesicki?
Njoku.
See, I know I have in my stats. I want to reverse course completely on my Mike Gesicki call out from earlier this season.
Yeah.
Let me just
Go on,
sub in
back.
Njoku and take Gesicki out. After the trade rumors started flying, I'm out on Gesicki.
Yeah.
I will take Njoku.
Not in.
He has pulled his submission of Mike Gesicki and has replaced it with David Njoku. You heard it here first.
That's my starting tight end in Dynasty too.
Let's keep going spicier, boys. David Njoku or Pat Freiermuth?
Njoku.
Njoku, as long as
You're
it's
going
not
backwards.
Dynasty. Yeah.
This is not backwards according to ADP, fellas.
I don't care.
Not
You're going
Dynasty?
backwards.
Because if it's
This
not
is-
Dynasty, I don't want Freiermuth at all this year.
This is this year's ADP. We're moving on up. David Njoku or Dawson Knox?
Njoku.
I'm going Njoku.
David Njoku or Zach Ertz?
I go Ertz.
Ah, there's the line, huh?
That is the line.
David Njoku or Goder? Because that's going to be tricky for you guys.
Njoku. I got, or no, I'm sorry, Goder. I have Goder 1 spot higher.
So Robbie finishes at Njoku at 10 is what I'm seeing on, I think.
Yep.
And then Brian will finish at 9 because I don't think either of you have him over TJ Hawk.
Yeah, I think that's right where I slide him in.
I do.
It's right into Godaire's spot.
Robbie does?
Yeah, I probably need to readjust Hawkinson a little bit. I have him a little low. I have him at 14.
You have him at 13.
Yes, 13.
I skipped
I'm sorry.
Cole Kmet
You're right,
because I knew
13.
that would be another line for you, Rob.
I'd go
So
Kmet, yeah.
so you both would end up at around 9 for Njoku.
I got him at 10.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see who I missed somehow. I don't know. That makes sense.
Also,
Interesting.
a sneaky 2 tight end play. I don't mind Logan Thomas.
I'm
know.
so out. I am so
I get it.
out.
I
He
get
was a
it.
quarterback. He had one good year.
I get it.
One.
But Carson Wentz likes tight ends, man.
Like, this is where, like, when people say Logan Thomas, I say Gerald Everett. When people say Austin Hooper, I say, well, that's the last guy that's going. So you really can't argue anything there. But, like, why waste that roster spot? Get Everett.
Go Parham.
Go
At least-
you may.
At least get
I
a
don't-
guy that has a chance at really, really taking over a spot and having a high ceiling. I don't think Thomas has any ceiling.
What about Brevin?
Jordan?
I've heard he's quite the athlete. So I mean that's gonna be sneaky. It's weird that you're going for these guys. I would probably have Brevin Jordan over Logan Thomas though.
I think Brevin Jordan's got a case to be not great, but I think he's a very solid tight end too for you.
People say Jonnu Smith is supposed to break out a little bit more this year.
I don't
Dude,
trust
people
that
have been
man.
calling for his breakout for
Do we have any
Ever.
love for Jelani Woods or Mo Alley Cox? Matt Ryan loves the tight end position.
I don't know who to trust there, dude.
That's the problem.
I don't know who to trust. He ran so.
He
a
has
stat that
always loved the tight end
a
position.
stat that I saw on Mo Alley Cox's preseason. I don't know how much Matt Ryan played, so it's tough to kind of gauge that. He ran 50% of his routes. 50% of the snaps played, he ran routes. So I believe it was 20 routes ran. He was targeted one time.
Different QB. Different QB.
I don't know how much he played or Matt Ryan played. I'm just saying. It's interesting. He was running routes, though, which is good. That's what you want to see from a tight end. He's on the field. 50% of the time he was running routes, which is very good. Does it translate to targets?
Yeah. I have one more question for you boys before we wrap up here, because I think this one's really interesting, and it's something that I don't have an answer for, and I'm really curious your guys' thoughts on it. If you've caught any of the Baltimore games this preseason, Isaiah Likely has looked really stellar. I get it. It's preseason. Mark Andrews is there. Everything understand. What I want to know about is Isaiah Likely a good dynasty roster stash? And how deep does your bench have to be? Because it's tough. We have pretty shallow. We have 2 dynasty leagues with all 3 of us in it, and we have semi-shallow benches. I haven't been able to necessarily roster him.
He is rostered.
I have him on my taxi.
Yeah, Rob
I think he's rostered in both now. I think somebody just recently picked him up on the one that he wasn't. Probably the 12 team.
I am a big Likely fan. I am a very big Likely fan. Obviously, the only issue is Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews isn't that old. So it's going to be quite a while until I think Likely has, like, maybe it times up perfectly for him in 5 years.
Is there a scenario where this offense has a dominant 2 tight end system similar to the Patriots in 2011?
That's my question.
I don't think
Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronk. Is that never a possibility? Because they don't do it with wide receivers. I'm just.
Are you saying Bateman's going to be nothing?
In that situation, that would mean Bateman wouldn't pan out. I would think that they would turn to that.
I just don't think, like, tight end is such a weird position. I don't think this year Likely is going to be a likely top 20
I think
guy.
I was thinking more like next year, though.
I don't even think next year.
Okay. So dynasty stash him, but you don't know when he pans out. That's a tough stash.
That is a tough stash. Now that you say it like that, I mean, I'd take him on my taxi.
Yeah, and then you don't know what
That's
to do.
about it.
It's not like Mark Andrews is going to be gone next season.
No, you just got to kind of see what the Ravens are doing after a year.
Do you hold him past your taxi, Rob? Are you going to drop him next season? If he does, very minimal because he doesn't get too many targets. I don't expect him to do a lot this season. I don't think anybody should.
It's tough. It's tough to predict how my roster is going to look to next season. I mean, would I rather have him or, say...
I guess I'm just thinking about, like, people who don't have taxi spots, and they're just like, okay, how do I roster this guy?
So I have Mike Gesicki. I would 100% hold Isaiah Likely on my bench.
I've held Jordan Love the past 2 seasons.
A little different. We're playing in Superflex.
Yeah, a little different, but am I comfortable? Man, it depends on my tight end situation. I would say it really does. Like if I have a stud tight end and a good backup, I'd drop him. If I had a stud tight end and a terrible backup, I'd probably keep him and like hope he pans out. And and also it's like I want to see what this offense is going to be about. If he's going to be on the field 60 to 70% of the plays and he's running routes and stuff like that, then I'm more comfortable keeping him. But if he barely gets on the field, then it's
60
a different.
70 is high.
Yeah, it is. But they're going to run a ton of 2 tight end sets.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely nuts to hold 2 tight ends on your team in pretty much any scenario.
For Dynasty as well.
For Dynasty as well. Unless you have a Mike Gesicki as your starting tight end, I don't see a point of keeping 2 tight ends.
That's why I take a tight end to keep on my taxi. I like having
I think it's fine for taxi, but like Mario had 4 tight ends on his team earlier this year.
Traded them all, baby. Traded them all.
Did you or did you drop a couple? Did you trade them to the waiver wire?
Maybe I dropped a couple, but I did just send out Albert O for my guy. Do you know who it is?
Nope.
Albert O for Laviska Shenault, baby. He's on my team. Everybody would hate that trade, so hopefully nobody is watching right now. I appreciate the thoughts on Isaiah Likely. I'm going to offer Rob a trade later tonight to try to steal him from him.
Suck it.
I like holding a lot of tight ends on my team. I think it's a great for dynasty, not so much regular season. Tomorrow or Wednesday, Rob, we are with Jay Stein.
Yes, we are.
Talk a little about his price or earnings or price earnings model. It's really interesting for the financial mind. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, you just
You're
came back.
Oh, so you missed all of that. I don't know why this cuts me out every time, but never
Only
cuts
at the
you guys
beginning,
out.
apparently.
I didn't even play it this time. Jay Stein with us on Wednesday. He's going to be talking about his PE model for players. Catch us out on at Dad Bod FS on Twitter, Dad Bod Fantasy Squad, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and then we'll be posting the audio to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Robbie?
All the major platforms, baby.
That's it. For myself, the LaVisca Truther. For Brian, Josh Palmer Truther. And for Robbie, all of the Bears Truther. Peace. I actually thought that was